Hi everybody. So today is April 2nd, Autism Awareness Month, Day 2. And today I have a simple question for you. What is the worst that can happen? So let me tell you a story. Where I come from in Ghana, our favorite food is fufu. For people of my mom's generation, that's all they ate for dinner, supper, evening food. That is it. Every day, without fail, they'll eat fufu. So to feed them anything else for dinner besides fufu, that is probably tantamount to abuse for them. It has to be fufu. If they eat something else, they don't consider it as really eating. It's more like, I'm starving for this evening and tomorrow I'll do better. So fast forward throughout, whenever my mom doesn't feel right, she refused to go to the hospital. Her reasoning was that if she goes, she was afraid they're going to tell her to stop eating fufu. So she'd rather, if she doesn't know, then it won't hurt her. She'd rather live in blissful ignorance, eat her fufu, live her life, and just keep on going. So one time she had knee pain and I accompanied her to the hospital. It turns out when they did the vitals that her blood pressure was so high, really, really high, that they had to put her in one of the wards, I think the casualty ward, and they put a medicine under her tongue and let her rest for a few hours. And then later on, they were going to check to make sure that her blood pressure had come down. So that's what they did. After a few hours, taking the medicine, letting her rest, it came down. Then they gave her a prescription for blood pressure, a few medications to control her blood pressure that she still takes up to now. Her blood pressure is controlled, and by God's grace, she's still with us. So as I remember, recall, they didn't even talk about the problem that she actually went to the hospital with. It was her pressure that they dealt with. And it turns out they didn't ban her from eating fufu. So this whole time, she's just been suffering for nothing. And that's the same thing with us. Maybe you've noticed some signs of autism in your children, but you refuse to go and get the child assessed because you're afraid that they might confirm, yes, that your child has autism. It's possible that you go and they'll say, you know what, this child is just, he or she is a neurotypical, it's just that their speech is delayed. So here, go see this speech therapist and it'll be fine. It's possible that they will say, you know, your child is a neurotypical, but maybe they need to see an OT, occupational therapist, so they can learn to develop their skills, a little fine motor skills, so they'll be able to button up their shirt properly like a proper 8-year-old. Or maybe they will tell you that your child indeed has autism. And that is the worst case that you think it will happen. It's not. Getting that, if you live in the United States, no therapist, no specialist will even touch you. At least, most anyways, I can't say all, but most will not even touch you unless the child has a formal diagnosis. So the worst that you think can happen when you take the child to get assessed will be unlocking of a whole new life of knowledge and learning and therapies, ABA, speech therapy, OT, play therapy, spell to communicate, all kinds of things that your child can benefit from and help them thrive. That is the worst that can happen? I don't think so. It's not the worst case. Autism diagnosis is not a death sentence. But if you're going to stay there and because of your fears or the judgment, you're going to let the judgment of other people prevent you from seeking the help that your child needs in order to thrive, then I don't think you're being a good steward. This child that God gave to you, you are just a steward. Are you really being a good steward if you refuse to seek care or help for this child? Just because people will talk, just because people will think. You know, especially in the African community, we have this mentality where It's like, oh, if I take the child and get the diagnosis, then I'm calling for sickness for the child. Autism is not a disease. You are not accepting, you are not calling for bad omen to come to your child. If you're a Christian, you can say that, I'll just pray about it, and not seek help. You need, beyond praying, you need to also exercise your faith. Faith without works is dead. In the Bible, as Jesus was healing people, some he just spoke a word. And for some, he mixed spit with dirt and he put it on the eye and said, go and wash it. Imagine if the person had said, Jesus heals. Jesus can do all the miracles. So Jesus has touched me already and now I don't need to go and wash it. And I just be walking around with the dirt and spit on my eye and I'll be able to see. Do you think the healing would come? So we need to pray. It's possible that God can do an instant miracle. But let me tell you something. Some of the instant miracles that you see are years in the making, just like overnight success. It takes the time from letting them practice, letting them 5 minutes, letting them sit here, 5 minutes, letting them learn how to play with other kids, 5 minutes of learning to play with other children, taking turns. That is what brings the whole healing. So some instant miracles are years in the making. Don't let your fear and judgment of others prevent you from seeking help for your child. Take that beautiful baby and go see their pediatrician. If your insurance requires a referral, call the doctor's office and ask them to give you that referral. Look out for specialists. Ask them for specialists. Talk to other people. Google and find specialists for your children. Otherwise, we are not being good stewards of the beautiful children that God has given us. So my message today is just simple. What is the worst that can happen? Your child might get an autism diagnosis, but it also unlocks a whole lot of things that they can benefit from to help them thrive. Please, talk to your pediatrician. Talk to somebody and get help for your child. Early intervention is really key. Like a lot of things, cancers, all kinds of diseases. Early intervention is key. Please, seek help for your child. It's not the worst case scenario to find out that your child has autism. God bless you. Thank you.